As the PGA Tour gets set to resume next week, the Charles Schwab Challenge, so do the official World Golf Rankings, which have been frozen since the middle of March. As it stands, though, Rory McIlroy remains world number one, Jon Rahm ranked second, followed by Brooks Koepka, Justin Thomas, and Dustin Johnson, who round out that top five. Now, all five of them are in the field next week, and we will all be curious to see how they perform as we turn it back to Anna Whiteley.
We certainly will, LT. And that brings us nicely to our question of the day. Considering their form before the break, what we've seen and heard from them during the break, and also our expectations going into next week, guys, I'm asking you to rank those top five players in terms of our confidence level in their performance at the Charles Schwab Challenge. Paige McKenzie.
Well, I don't think there's any disagreement that Rory McIlroy is the number one player in the world. And for that reason, he's the number one on my list moving into next week as well. Incredible consistency heading into this break, 7 consecutive top fives, including that win at the WGC event. I put Jon Rahm as number 2. I believe that his incredible consistency is worthy of that 2-position ranking. Only one finish outside the top 10 in his last 8 starts. Of course, that's going all the way back to October and a couple of starts on the European Tour. And then Justin Thomas is my third. Obviously, 2 wins so far in the 2020 season, the 2019-2020 season. DJ has not done a lot, only a 3rd place finish in Saudi Arabia that's worth noting, a 7th place at the Tournament of Champions back in January. Small sample size, but some hiccups in his schedule. And then Brooks Koepka has been, I think, the disappointment so far of the season for those Brooks Koepka fans out there. He really hasn't performed up to the level I think we expect from him.
Paige McKenzie, I'm right with you almost, except for the 2 and 3 positions. I flip-flopped Justin Thomas and Jon Rahm. I think really Rory, JT, and Rahm, there's barely any daylight between those 3 players right now. I'd probably give Rory and JT the nod because of their resumes, maybe more than anything. The fact that they're both major champions, the fact that they're both FedEx Cup champions. I just feel like they have a few more pelts on the wall, as it were. But Jon Rahm is closing like a freight train. I expect him to win even bigger events than he has going forward. He's just finding his feet still as a pro, kind of growing into his maturity, both physically and emotionally. DJ and Brooks, to me, are both just a little off. DJ with the putter, as we saw a couple of weeks ago, some struggling. And for Brooks, it's all about the injury. It's all about not really knowing where he is with his knee. Didn't have the performances that he wanted earlier in the year. Wasn't having the rounds. Wasn't having the swagger that we're used to seeing. So I have DJ and Brooks searching a little bit. I have those other 3 players kind of fighting it out for the top spot.
Brooks Koepka, I'm questioning possibly him being number 5 on there. I know obviously he's got his sights set on the calendar, probably a little bit further down the line, Damon. But do you think there's any chance that he's going to now be appreciating the significance of these events in terms of building some momentum, finding some form, and regaining some of that confidence that we heard him lose just before the Arnold Palmer Invitational?
I think so. It's one thing when you're feeling like you're invincible and you can talk about, oh, I'm all about the majors and the majors mean the most. Well, I tell you what, you need to build momentum and build some form. And these PGA Tour events are very important for him coming up, to build momentum, to get some top 10 finishes. He's had a couple of missed cuts, a withdrawal, a couple finishes in the 40s. It's been very un-Brooks Koepka-like. So these tour events coming up for him are extremely important for him, not just to close the gap on the best players in the world, not just to kind of live up to his words and trying to have a little bit of a back and forth with Rory McIlroy. It's about finding momentum, finding some form, and getting ready for the big events coming up this summer.
Okay, Robert Damron. Well, he's got Brooks Koepka ranked number 5. What does your ranking look like?
You never put Brooks Koepka at number 5. I mean, come on. Really, there's 2 batches inside this 5. There's the first 3, who are all playing great, and then the last 2 who are struggling. So which order do you put them in? I've got Rory, of course, the most consistent, best player in the world right now, but JT over Rahm. You guys forget that Rahm missed the cut at Colonial last year. Justin Thomas always has that mental edge. I don't think that any rust is going to affect him more or as much as it would Rahm. I think that's going to affect Rahm a little more, because if he gets a little frustrated that his game's not there, he doesn't handle it quite as well as JT. And then you do get to Brooks and DJ. DJ's putter has let him down in his last 12 PGA Tour starts, 2 top 10s, a 7th and a 10th, to the former most consistent player in the world. It's strange. Brooks will come back healthier and happier. He's going to bring his mustache and bad haircut to Colonial and play much better, I think. Of course, he's almost won. He shot 263s and ended up losing to Justin Rose a couple years ago.
I didn't think I would have so much to disagree with, Robert, but I fundamentally disagree with a couple of things. Jon Rahm's not going to have rust. If you've forgotten, his 2 wins in the fall were 6 weeks apart. He took all of that time off and came back as fresh as a daisy, had an incredible mindset in Dubai, didn't get frustrated because he had balance in his life. I think Jon Rahm's going to bring that when he starts up again here in Colonial. And then Brooks Koepka, what are you hanging your hat on? There's very little for him that would put him above Dustin Johnson or, frankly, a lot of players on the PGA Tour right now.
Well, hanging my hat on part of it's fear that he sees it and gets angry with me. I'm a little scared of Brooks, so I don't want to put him last place. But no, I think that the poor play for Brooks was more injury related, and I'm also hoping that all that's behind him with this going on. And as far as stability, no one's got stability right now with Jon Rahm. Everybody's been unstable these last few months. We don't know what's going on. Every morning you wake up, there's something new, crazy, awful adventure happening. And so, yeah, it'll be nice to get back to normal, but I think everyone is going to be questioning what it feels like. Rust comes from not just not playing, but rust is going to come from playing a tournament with no fans, because you're just not going to be mentally engaged the way you normally are. I think JT will handle that better than Rahm.
Okay, well, I'm really going to have Paige coming after me now, because I have hung my hat on Brooks Koepka even harder, and I ranked him at number 3 in my top 5 rankings for next week. Rory, of course, is number 1. He even proved himself the alpha male with that clinching closest to the pin shot at the Skins game. Justin Thomas, he's in a great place. He received a lot of love for those reporting skills at the match. He's the new poster boy for the PGA Tour's new game. So I think a lot of confidence going in there. 11 starts, 8 top 10s, including 3 wins for Justin Thomas. So he's my number 2. Now, Brooks Koepka, I've put him down there because I know we're expecting him to look a little bit rusty next week, because he is going to be looking for that three-peat a little bit further down the line. But I think, Damon, touching on what you said there, I think he will be using these events to start taking them a bit more seriously, start finding a bit of momentum. The man is just wired differently. And then Jon Rahm, well, I've massively underrated him anyway, because his game essentially travels anywhere, but we just want to see some more wins from him. And DJ, just a little sluggish, I would say, right now. Not too much to get excited about. He's an amazing talent, but we just haven't seen too much from him.
Anna, I can't let this slide. Jon Rahm at number 4. I'm very surprised. I miss being in studio with you. When you're sitting to my left, you're often pumping up Jon Rahm, and rightfully so. I'm surprised you have Brooks Koepka, who's such an unknown, who hasn't had form to speak of whatsoever. I'm surprised you put Koepka ahead of Rahm at this moment in time.
I'm fascinated by Brooks Koepka. I think he's an enigma, and I'm hoping that he is going to surprise us. It's all based on hope. That's all I can say right now.